Africa TV Freak Up Studio Live 2022 GSL Season 1 Code S.
Sometimes I hunt for the storm just to weather it. Prefer them deadly than challenge accepted.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the GSL Code S. We're on day 2, going on into Group B. Group A was a good one. Some of the results were kind of what we expected, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think on day 1, DRG was kind of like a little bit of a surprise, I guess.
Sure.
Especially the fact he had no idea that the patch was live and still made it through.
That was the great plot twist of the tournament. We saw it happening.
We thought we were joking, but
yeah, we were like, well, maybe he just knows that the Queens can't do this, but he thinks it's going to work anyways. But
yeah.
Either way, I think today's going to be better, probably a little bit more interesting as well.
Yeah, I think it is an interesting group. Obviously, we have 2 big favorites, but our underdogs are capable of throwing in some upsets and making it interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think our big underdog for today is going to be Armani, but let's see how he performs here. Ryung and Maru in this group as well, which is always exciting, and Zest, who's sort of been reinvigorated here as a Protoss pro. I want to see how he's going to do this season. I'm especially interested in him as a player.
Well, especially since he announced that it was his last season over a year ago and he was going to the military. He's been fantastic ever since, playing on borrowed time tasteless.
Yes.
And easily top 2 Protoss in the world along with Trap.
Yeah, man. This is going to be a group I think that's going to have major implications as far as who moves on here. Ryung has been playing very well, especially at the end of last year, looking like a strong player. Maru, I think we kind of always think he's going to get out of this group, so yeah. I'm already treating this as if he'll move on.
Yeah.
Zest, probably the other player who we see escape this group with ease, but I think Ryung is an interesting player. Armani as well. Armani, this guy's been very hungry for a while now.
Yeah.
To kind of get the success that his peers have had. He's definitely one of the guys that's been overshadowed by the rest of the players in this group, or I should say in this tournament.
Sure. Well, he's been more successful lately than Ryung, outside of Ryung's Katowice run, which he definitely overperformed there, which was awesome to see.
Yeah.
We'll see if he can kind of carry that forward here into GSL Code S. I'm hoping so. I mean, his TVP was looking pretty strong over there, and we'll see if he can keep it up against Zest. Definitely a stronger player for him to go up against.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to see the scoring that Zest has had, as you can see here in the past super tournaments in GSLs. A lot of highs, a lot of lows, man.
Dude, that's pretty good overall. Yeah, that season 2 was rough for sure in the second season super tournament, but round of 8 and the second place and stuff, he's been doing well, I would say.
Yeah.
It's too bad he didn't win again, because if he takes down another GSL, he's the best Protoss ever in Code S by far. Right now you might still be able to call him that over MC, but it's a conversation to be had rather than clear.
I think so. Ryung, you can see he's not got much of a record to speak of. But we know, he has been streaming a lot. Like I said, he did look pretty strong as far as his actual play went in last year. I'm curious about this. I think that Zest should come out on top easily, but I'm going to have my eye on Ryung in this entire group. I really want to see how he's performing overall. Even if he doesn't make it out, I'm interested in him as a player in general.
Totally.
And I think he's in a different phase in his career where all he's got to do is focus on StarCraft, and he's always been pretty strong since the very, very first year of StarCraft, too.
Oh, that's for sure. He was a very strong player, in fact, at the very beginning.
Truly old school.
Yeah.
And so let's see how he performs here. We're going to go to Glittering Ashes for We're going to go to Glittering Ashes for map 1. This is Zest versus Ryung. Game 1 starts now.
2022 GSL Season 1. Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Zest. Team GP, Ryung.
So I want to throw this out there. Ryung we always kind of looked at as kind of a brainy Terran. He was specifically like a, Wow, no units lost yet? That's crazy. Wow. Okay, anyways. It's just such a funny, it has to be a misclick. Yeah, anyways, he's always been kind of like a brainy player, right? Back at the beginning of GSL, when this was Slayer's Ryung, he was kind of like a TVT sniper.
Sure.
Which generally, because it's a bit more strategic, a little bit less mechanical, you generally get like players that are pretty intelligent being pretty strong in that matchup. That's just historically been the case.
You know, I think a very stamina-oriented matchup. You got to really be able to last and endure through a long, drawn-out game, especially old TVT from the past, which is really where he made his splash.
Yeah.
Old StarCraft 2 TVT looked like StarCraft 1 TVT. I think it's a bit more fluid now, but there was all these kind of, you know, all of StarCraft 2, when people started playing, it was sort of built off the ideas from StarCraft 1. Some of those ideas turned out to be very useful, others were not. And so, you know, the early StarCraft 1 days were kind of odd, but with Ryung being mentored by Slayer's Boxer, who was, you know, one of the biggest deals from StarCraft in here and being on the Slayer's team. Yeah. You know, he has a very interesting kind of origin story into StarCraft 2.
He certainly does. And, you know, what I'm trying to get at here is, you know, he's always been kind of a smart player. Nowadays, he's very good friends with Maru. They spend a lot of time together, talk about the game a lot. And Maru is like, you know, kind of this genius prodigy of StarCraft 2. So I find that interesting because I think if Ryung just really focuses on becoming mechanically more sound, because that's always been his issue, is that mechanically he won't quite keep up, he could reemerge as a top Terran.
It's possible, absolutely.
It is possible. You don't normally see someone come back after that long and not really do anything, but I could see it. Dude, that Zest micro is not bad.
Yeah,
oh
with the
God.
He's going to end up dropping those 2 probes eventually, but that was some pretty crazy probe acrobatics we saw back there.
Yeah, that was some synchronized probe swimming right there.
Yeah.
That was pretty damn good.
That was probe Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, I mean, he ends up losing 2, so at the end of the day it sucks, but...
Well, at the end of the day didn't pay off, but at least...
it was still impressive.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's a nice start for Ryung. 2 probes. Now, from Zest, we'd have the Oracle popping out. The Reaper is going to see that and get picked off immediately. Wow, even mid-air, I thought Oracle couldn't hit flying units. But going into the Twilight here, as well as 3 gates. So probably just a blink follow-up, which is, you know, pretty standard.
Yeah, I mean, this is... I guess compared to what we saw the other day, you know, not as common. It's a little bit of an older way to play. It's not bad, but it's something we've definitely seen quite a bit of. And the 3 gate is, you know, very middle of the road even for that branch of this build, which is going to be Blink Stalkers coming out here.
It's like pretty safe.
Yeah, there was a Robo as well, right?
No Robo yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stargate. What am I saying? So he's using the Oracle basically as the spotter here.
But yeah, a lot of the time you actually will get the 3rd Nexus, then the gates. But here he's gone the gates first, so I think he's actually... it feels to me like Zest is playing a bit more careful of a game here against Ryung, as opposed to a more optimized build that he might use. Like, for instance, if this was against Maru, I bet you he would have gone 3rd Nexus, 2 gates. Yeah. Instead of 2 gates, 3rd Nexus.
Yeah, this is, I think, a build where Zest is coming into this and just, you know, trying to figure out, okay, where exactly is Ryung at? Let's not do anything risky. Let's not do anything dramatic. Let's just play as straight up as we possibly can here, and try to see if there's any room for us to get ahead in that way. And I think it makes sense. I think Zest comes into this best of 3 probably actually knowing he's supposed to win this. He's better. And because of that, you don't want to try to be too creative, especially in the first game of the best of 3. I think you just come in here and try to see, you know, all right, what can I get done here?
Gonna get out of there immediately. The Stalkers, I mean, there's not a whole lot to get done here, honestly. Is he gonna like pick off 1 SCV or 2? Okay. That's fine.
So I'm back. That's revenge for the 2 probes killed earlier on in this game.
Yeah, he's got to make it even. That's what it is. I like that. But more gates being made. +1 is already on the way here as well. A couple medevacs boosting out to the south.
I think this Oracle's going to see it.
Oh,
wait. I actually can't tell. I think it actually didn't see it.
I think it. Well, he would have turned around if he had seen it, but I think if his eyes were looking, I believe the medevacs were just caught on the edge of the Oracle
think they blipped on the mini-map?
I think so.
Well,
now,
he's about
like
to get
flank,
sandwiched.
Man. Yeah, this is
pretty sick.
Yeah. Beautiful.
This is brutal. Beautiful. He's going to lose at least 3 Stalkers.
Tasteless, I love what we just saw from
Dude,
Ryung.
that was actually awesome by Ryung.
Yeah, I think a lot of players would go to the Nexus, and then there would be like a recall, and it would just get held, and you lose his 2 pros. But I think that this was a better play, more like reducing the Stalker count and getting him out of your side of the map gives more room for Ryung to maneuver and everything as well. I think that was just a really nice move.
And honestly, a lot of these games, if Terran wins, are decided by just having an explosive push where the Protoss just barely doesn't have enough. Yeah. So to get those 3 Stalkers for free is excellent.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, you see that we are getting the peak in supply here for Terran. Like, you always see Terran go up in an even game against Protoss around this time where they start to peak up and do have that extra army. And honestly, he hasn't really lost anything, right? He's lost like a couple Marines, and that's it. Ooh, doesn't get the medevac. Nice boost from Ryung.
Yeah.
Ryung's really on top of things.
Ryung is actually, this is going to be death by 1,000 cuts here for Zest if things keep going this way. We're not going to be able to point to the one moment where Ryung did it. It's just like, well, he lost a couple Stalkers here, and he lost 2 Stalkers there, some probes here, and eventually it's just going to be a fight where I think Ryung might have more. That moment might be coming up. I mean, he's getting little jabs here and there.
He's gonna Fruit Ninja him, man.
Dude, Fruit Ninja is the way. It's not the way to go, man. It's not even a new game, too.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Right now, Zest is just hoping that he accidentally chops up a bomb, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's the comeback mechanic in Fruit Ninja for the computer.
What a weird time where everybody thought that the iPad games were just going to be where gaming was going to be at. And they did have plans for zombies before that Angry Birds, but that kind of just...
Those were
all went away. Yeah, they were actually good games, but...
Well, everyone got money hungry and it destroyed those games, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's an insane flank there.
Yeah.
That might make up for all the great plays that we saw there from Ryung. I mean...
Ryung actually, he clears all the Zealots, and he actually held on to a couple Marauders against those Stalkers, forcing them back. Look at Zest's army supply. It actually goes down in comparison. He's going Dark Shrine right now, which is not, like, when you have this size army that, like, okay, I mean, maybe it ends up working out for you, but it's not generally what you're looking for here. I think Ryung is still doing very well.
Yeah, I mean, Ryung is hanging on. Oh! Okay, good save there by Zest. But Zest is starting to do some work here. He's also continuing to have that rhythm of growth over on his side of the map. The 4th base is out. More gates are coming.
The Stalker's coming again. Trying to get a few hits here and there, but Ryung's micro is good. Pulling back, throwing down a couple mines here as well. DT Blink on the way. Enhanced Shockwaves coming up for Ryung, who is building his 4th command center. Of course, we have that 4th Nexus. Over halfway done here for Zest. So a little bit ahead on the 4th. Which, I mean, that's what you would expect anyways.
Okay, he's got to be careful not to overextend with those Widow Mines there. The next part of this game is going to be an interesting one because Zest is about to get a lot more gateways and get the upgrades he wants. But I think if Terran can try to do an attack coming up here, that might be the moment where Terran can take control of this game. But a lot of times PvT, you stretch the game out for long enough as the Protoss, and the Terran sort of ends up in a lot of problems. Especially as more and more splash damage can be added in.
Where's the splash damage? Like,
it's
look
not
at the
here
army.
yet,
Yeah.
to be frank.
24 Zealots and 4 Stalkers, right? Well, we're going to go on no Stalkers. So right now, if you just show me the unit tab, I would put $1,000 on this being SOS playing. It's like, oh, his army's a Sentry and 24 Zealots. I'm like, I've seen that before. That's SOS.
Yeah, he's going to win with Tier 1.
Yeah. DT Blink is done right now. Just want to throw that out there. It's kind of funny, right? Because he got DT Blink rather quickly for a PvT. And don't forget, that was one of the nerfs, is they have a little bit, it's not quite a second, it's like 3/4 of a second delay after blink to attack.
Yeah, they don't immediately do damage upon the appearance of the DT after the blink. So
yeah, which
is sort of what DT blink was used for, as it turns out. Everybody kind of thought this would be a keep away technique, and instead it was kind of a rush down move.
Yeah. And he does blink forward, takes a little bit for that, and, well, the DTs got absolutely slaughtered, so that definitely didn't work. I mean, the next thing we're going to see is DRG's Queens walk over with no creep and try to attack that Pyro Force. Like, guys, do we read the patch notes? Come on. But yeah, those DTs definitely not as effective as he wanted them to be. Still Ryung up in Workers and up in Army as well.
Okay.
And there's no splash damage is what's really killing me here.
Yeah, I kind of thought that we would eventually start to see splash damage come. I mean, this is a way to play. It's a way we've seen before.
Yeah.
It's
like we're watching Adel Scott 12 years ago.
Well, it's weird because it looks like an old Brood War comp. It's like just Zealots and Dragoons.
It's Gateway Man is what it
is.
Just say
Man.
what it is.
It's Gateway Man, dude. It's just mass ground units, tier 1, and you're kind of almost behaving like a Zerg in some way, where you're trying to flank here and there and then counterattack.
Yeah.
And basically punish the Terran because they aren't that mobile. But I'm surprised to see Zest go in for this play here against Ryung. It wasn't clear that was the direction the game was going to be in, maybe 6 minutes ago. But as things have slowly panned out, here we are. We see that, it's continuous gateway units, and now DTs with Blink incorporated. And I don't know if it's necessarily bad, but I don't know if it's like the best way to play the game either.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is, because look, you're getting 30+ charge lots. Like, they're not even all going to be attacking at the same time. Yeah, they're pretty tanky and everything, and like take a little while to chew through, and they deal a lot of damage. But you really need splash at this point. That's what gets Terran in a hard spot. And if you look at the composition that Ryung has made, like, I really like his position here much better, and the way he's handling it is very intelligent as well. Like, he is not overcommitting forward on anything. He's grinding Zest down slowly but surely.
Yeah. Now, Ryung hasn't really been able to take a major swipe at any of these bases, but we could be getting close to that moment. Zest right now on to 5 bases. Oh, great blink in there. Doing a lot of damage. GMPs come down, but the Zealots are going to come right on in. And again, the Protoss just has to be, lopsided in defense, and it looks like that's going to happen here at 6 o'clock. The Nexus is going to go down as the recall comes in, and that's going to be mission success for sure there for Ryung, as he's going to escape with most of those units, and especially the medevacs. And now Terran is actually going to be up a base. I mean, the Nexus is being remade, but this command center, I think it's got Planetary is about to finish here at 3 o'clock.
This is, I'm loving this game out of Ryung. And as far as Zest go, I'm still just kind of looking at it, wondering, I don't know, he's so gateway heavy, just running around here. He's bringing up more and more and more DTs. Blinks forward there once again, and that's it, GG.
Ryung takes that. And it was a game, all right. I can't believe that Zest went with that style.
Yeah, like, I'm okay with you staying on gateway units for a bit, but then he like started attacking a lot with it. Like, I guess he really committed heavily into that charge lot stalker attack that we saw in the center, where Ryung barely held the stalkers and then also pulled back against the charge lots. It was like 2 separate battles on the same screen.
Right.
And from there, I think Zest didn't feel comfortable getting into any splash. But honestly, I think he needed to. It's not that hard to throw down the support bay and try to get a couple disruptors out to allow you to get into other things.
Or get Psystorm or something. I mean,
it was an interesting choice.
I mean, whenever I see that style, I always think SOS. I know you were talking about just Zealots and nothing else, but I mean, even we've seen him do the Stalker and the Mass Expand style.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't think he should pull it out again. Right now, Ryung is 1-0 here. If he wins another one, he goes on to the winner's match. Game 2, it's on Roughneck, and it's ready to start right now.
2022 GSL Season 1. Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Zest. Team GP, Ryung.
So, I mean, I have to imagine that Zest is going to do something a little bit different. I mean, that late game comp, that's not normal. I mean, we've seen it before. It's not, you know, the craziest thing, but to be honest, using that against Ryung in the first game and the caliber of player that Zest is, or at least looked like he was, you know, only, you know, not long ago, that is crazy to use that. And then when it wins, you think, okay, what's going on here? I mean, maybe Zest is trying to be a little bit experimental. Maybe he thought he had a better handle on how to kind of use that counterattack, clobber play style of mass zealots and stalkers. But, I mean, ultimately, Ryung got the upper hand. You know, there's a lot of ways to play PvT.
Yeah.
And I feel like what happened with Zest back there was he gave up on a lot of the tech assets that Protoss need to really be safe against these big chunks of units.
Yeah. One thing that game made me think of, the way that Zest played looks to me like something that would really smash a Terran that's not like really top tier in their thinking, right? Because once you identify what he's doing, it becomes a game where you just grind it down, where you're not ever overcommitting. If you overcommit one time there as Terran, I think Zest beats you, right? So I think like if you take one of the lower tier Terrans in this tournament, Zest might smash him with that. In fact, it might be easier than a more regular composition to do that because you're just macroing up and your opponent screws up and loses an army, and then you have this tempo advantage that's not going to be touched. But Ryung he played a very smart game. He like controlled his army well. He didn't overextend, not even close to overextend even one time.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Zest got absolutely trounced. So I do wonder why he chose to do that, but I guess we'll just see how he's going to play this one.
I guess there was a couple moments where Ryung was running circles around Zest. You know, we were talking at the start of that game about death by 1,000 cuts, and it looked like that was the direction the game was going in. And maybe, you know, if Zest has a cleaner start where he's not hemorrhaging the key units that he's going to try to build up into late game, and in this case it is Zealots and Stalkers, maybe the game goes a little bit better. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, time's going to tell. This is, right now, the build, at least the starting point. I mean, there's going to be a lot of, you know, possible forks in this build as the game, you know, pans out. But right now, it looks pretty much like the last game. I think is it 2 gateways instead of 3, and then Robo?
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's the standard expansion nowadays.
Yeah.
Is 2 gate blink into 3rd, and then add everything up.
This is the one that's most hungry to kind of pull the game into a later game and get all the you know income that you need. The 3 gate's a little bit more of a control play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that this game is going to necessarily look like the game that we had before. In fact, I think that the Robo here could lead to us probably eventually getting Colossus tech up here.
Yeah, it could.
The Protoss doing like a slope play, basically hanging back until they get that tech up, and it might be not much more than a Warp Prism flying around the map, and basically, you know, the Protoss player trying to be like the Karate Kid, you know, wax on, wax off, all the little attacks from Terran. And then eventually, if this game goes in the tech that I think both you and I are thinking about, Artosis, it's going to be one where you start to get different types of splash.
Yeah.
Colossus to Templar to Disruptor.
I think he will do that. We saw him add a couple gases there, so that's definitely for something. Adding 2 more gates first, but he is starting to bank quite a bit of gas, so we'll see what exactly that's going to be for. It'd be hilarious if he's like, nah, I'm just making 1,000 stalkers, but I don't think he'll do that. Okay, Templar Archives, there you go. So we're going to see Zest go into Psystorm almost certainly here.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. I was holding my breath watching that attack there. 4 more gates, by the way. Templar Archives coming. I think you might have said that, Artosis.
Yeah.
And he's going to come back in. Now, again, if there's no SCVs here, you can't repair that in time, but the problem is that there's not enough stalkers to basically smother the bunker and damage in time for you to kill it and then get out. So I feel like already we're seeing Zest at kind of a bit of a clunky start.
Yeah, he's keeping a lot of pressure. I think he's kind of utilizing this as well to check what Ryung has.
Yeah.
And in fact, that time, like, no units were there, right? So maybe he's read that. Look at his stalkers go home. I think he realizes that there's very likely medevacs on the way to his base. And there are. It's unloading outside. There is an observer kind of watching for that anyways. Psystorm is about halfway done. And this is kind of looking like a trap style that we're seeing here. And this can be, this can be very, very strong. A lot of times when we see trap do this type of style where you just kind of go for a very quick Psystorm, what we'll see is you kind of walk up and they don't have ghosts and you just like butcher their third, you know?
Yeah.
It's like there's not a whole lot that they can do there.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, I think it's a great way to play to have the Templars in the War Prism. You know, and keep in mind the Terran never knows if that's coming until the Templars actually come out, right? And then trying to, you know, really damage them down with the rest of the storms that are going to come in. Now, Terran's still staying on 2 bases. A third's not going to be far away. I do like that Ryung didn't overextend and attack in if he didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Which I think is honestly something we've seen a lot of Terrans not really do that well.
Yeah.
A lot of Terrans are almost like reflexively diving in moments, and you know, it's a little bit of a cross your fingers play because, you know, if you're not sure that you can get in there and actually do the damage, there's a chance that the stalkers are just going to shoot down your medevacs, and then what happens is you're just trading out units, and we've seen a lot of games where Terran does that, where they're just kind of, you know, they look fast and it's an exciting match until all their stuff's gone and the Protoss, you know, gets to 1A across the map and actually kill them off.
Sure, for sure. And it is good to see Ryung not do that. Zest macro very much on point this game. You can see him keeping right up in supply with Ryung. Very well done. And now coming across with those Psystorms ready. The few ghosts are coming out right now.
Yeah, and that's a lot of splash there. There's a lot of Widow Mines here. I don't think there's actually an observer here. Do you see one?
Yeah, there is one.
Where?
Siege to the right.
Oh,
there.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I see it now. One to the right. And Zest is going to come in here, and this looks like quite a bit of damage. I don't know that Terran can actually hang on to this position.
Yeah, it's a bit tough. That is a lot of charge lots. The Psystorm's doing some big work as well. Nice EMP goes down, so down goes the Prism here.
Yeah.
Does storm, so he can't really be chased all that well, but I think that's pretty much the end of the attack. Had a nice pick off of that Archon as well. Can't quite get out of there. There's another storm. It is a soft army for Ryung, so it's not like you can chase. But I would say that that was a pretty good hold overall.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, Ryung, I thought he might actually just fall apart there, but really good arcing. And you know, he's fought.
His defense was really great with the spread of the mines. Like you couldn't really charge in, and you couldn't get as good of Psystorms as you were looking for there.
Right.
So it was just some great positioning from Ryung, and as you said, great arcing as well.
Nice snipe there on the medevac, pulls back away. And this is a different late game here. We do have the Robotech, you know, we do have the Templars that were used earlier. So even though we do have lots of Stalkers and Zealots, this is a much different approach from Zest, and I think it's a much better way to play the game, frankly. Nice snipe on the Ops. Zest is ahead. He's taken another base. And we're going to have some Zealots sent in here. This might be enough to just shoot this down immediately. Yeah, good call pulling away.
Yeah, that would have been bad. We have a second Robo as well as that support bait coming up. So we'll see. It's going to either be Colossus or Disruptors. Either one is going to be fantastic here. And, you know, Zest taking his 4th base. It looks like we're going to get into like a really reasonable, pretty, I would say like pretty even looking macro game. Although I honestly, looking at this, as soon as we have like 2 to 4 Robo Splash units out, I like Zest's position a bit better.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be up to Ryung to try to come up with something here and push out. And honestly, especially on this map, I don't feel like the Protoss is that pushable at all on any of the bases that they have. I mean, maybe the center right base at 3 o'clock is, you know, the most attackable spot. It's still like a huge
I don't think
travel
really
distance.
Yeah, it's just like a little bit too far back, and you have to go around this little lip to get in there, and that's really punishable. Oh, I like that mine in there. Very annoying. Gets a couple more before going down. Disruptors are coming out, and plus air attack, so might be going into carriers from here.
Yeah.
Definitely looks that way.
It's going to be a little bit before we get to see the carriers used here, but I think that Zest has a better idea. It's a lot different than like just trying to counterattack, and you know, like we saw in game 1, it's just trying to get better and better attack until you really can't be touched anymore. Really nice force fields there. Good pickups from Ryung, but this counterattack is insane.
That's a lot of zealots, but I mean, the mines do weaken them up a little bit. Just lifts off that command center. Gonna lose a few of these, dragging the rest of the zealots back through some more mines. Gonna clean those up. Loses 10 SCV, so that's pretty good. But Ryung still has 66 workers, that's still a very healthy economy.
Right.
You know, if you're dropping to like 40 right now, I'm worried about you. But 66 is a very solid 3-base economy, and obviously mineral patches are starting to run out, so. You're still good. You're still mining very well.
So, I mean, I don't see any signs that this game is going to end anytime soon. I will say Ryung has played, I think, some of the most patient TVPs we've seen. Like, he's really not overextending, which I think has been one of the mistakes a lot of Terrans have made. And I don't even mean to knock on the Terrans for being so aggressive in the past, but it does seem like, you know, a lot of Terrans fear Protoss in a super long game, but you know, Ryung is not going to give up what he's worked hard to, you know, build up to here, and I like that. And so now he's got these two, you know, different groups down here. One at the top right, one at the bottom left. I guess this top right group's really more in the middle now, but and he's going to look for the soft spot. He's going to look for some imbalance in the defense, and then he's going to try to strike that area.
I got to say, like, right now, this is probably the best time, right? Because he's trying to switch into carriers. He's got like 3 or 4 Stargates, double Cybernetics core, and obviously we see a huge supply advantage for Ryung because Zest is trying to buy something else. But Zest's defense here, Storm and like 7 Disruptors or so, you can't break that here. So this is very tough to attack into. I think Zest strategically has played this very nicely. Look at this, he EMPs and runs in on top of the Disruptors.
Dude. This angle is about as sick as you can make it, man. This is so much damage. The Zealots are suddenly nowhere useful. Maybe a recall's in order. Maybe a Chi instead. Artow's ass.
That was well done, but Zest did have a huge amount of Zealots on the bottom left, and when Ryung jumped on those Disruptors, they were not in an optimal position, and he was very slow to get off any disruption balls. So I think that the defense moment there from Zest was very well played. I mean, very poorly played from Zest and very well played from Ryung. And I mean, that was good on Ryung for taking the game right there, because with 4 carriers in production, it's going to get very tough very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of blown away that that was a 2-0.
Yeah.
I thought like Ryung is going to put up a pretty good fight. By the way, there's something different about Ryung in the studio right now. Like, he's got some pep in his step.
He does.
You know what I mean? He's feeling comfortable. That's a damning moment there for Zest to lose that first game. He's not out yet.
Yeah.
Up next, guys, we're going to go to the second half of the group. The other half of the group, I should say. It's Armani versus Maru. Stick around. We'll be right back.